The scanner beeped 3 times before Rish noticed. She had been cataloging ice formations for the past 6 hours, and her 4 eyes were starting to blur together. The Shallan navigator stretched her long blue fingers across the console, expecting another frozen comet. Instead, the readings made her secondary heart skip. Metal, processed metal, lots of it. Rish called Chief Archaeologist Nell to the sensor station without saying why. The old Shallan woman shuffled over, her scales dulled with age but her mind still sharp as broken glass. She looked at the display and went very still. "How many objects?" Nell asked quietly. "Still counting. At least 5,000 distinct signatures, maybe more." "Size?" "The smallest is 300 meters. The largest," Rish adjusted the sensors, "over a kilometer long." Nell sat down heavily in the navigator's chair. In 40 years of deep space archaeology, she had never seen anything like this. The Peaceful Dawn was conducting a routine survey of the outer darkness beyond the dead world humans once called Earth. They expected rocks and ice. Not this. "Wake the crew," Nell said, "all of them." Within an hour, every scientist aboard the survey vessel crowded around the main view screen. They stared at the image Rish had assembled from sensor data. A fleet. Ships arranged in perfect geometric formations stretching across light years of space. Silent, dark, waiting. "They're human vessels," said Dr. Porath, the expedition's historian. His insectoid face clicked with excitement. "Look at the hull configurations, similar to wrecks we've found in the ruins." "But humans disappeared 500,000 years ago," someone objected. "These ships can't have survived that long in perfect condition." Nell studied the readings carefully. No power signatures, no heat, no movement, yet the metal showed no decay whatsoever. The alloy composition didn't match anything in the Confederation database. "We're going aboard," Nell announced. The other scientists erupted in argument. Too dangerous, too valuable to risk. They should call the Confederation military first. Nell raised one scaled hand and everyone fell silent. "We're archaeologists. This is the greatest discovery in galactic history. We document it properly before anyone else interferes." The Peaceful Dawn approached the nearest vessel slowly. It hung in the void like a sleeping giant, all sharp angles and brutal efficiency. Weapons bristled from every surface, but they looked strange. Retracted, locked away deliberately. Nell led the boarding team herself, along with Rish and 4 other scientists. They cycled through the airlock wearing full environmental suits. The human ship's exterior hatch responded to their equipment without resistance, as if welcoming them inside. The corridor beyond took Nell's breath away. Pristine, clean, not a speck of dust or a scratch on the walls. Lighting panels activated automatically as they walked, creating a path deeper into the ship. It felt less like boarding a derelict and more like touring an active vessel whose crew had stepped out moments ago. "Atmosphere is breathable," Rish reported, checking her scanner. "Gravity generators still functioning. This doesn't make sense." They found the first hibernation chamber 20 minutes later. Rows upon rows of glass pods stretched into the darkness. Inside each pod lay a human, perfectly preserved, faces peaceful in sleep. Displays showed steady life signs, heartbeats, brain activity, dreams. "They're alive," whispered Dr. Porath. "All of them alive." Nell counted the pods in the chamber. 3,000. Her hands trembled as she accessed the ship's database terminal near the entrance. The human language translation software they developed from studying ruins struggled with the ancient text, but eventually produced readable results. Ship name Promise Keeper. Crew complement 15,000 military personnel, 4,000 civilian specialists, 8,000 colonists. Status deep hibernation. Mission duration indefinite. Indefinite? Rish looked confused. What kind of mission has an indefinite duration? Nell opened another file. The translation came through broken and incomplete, but the meaning crushed her chest like a vice. They were fleeing. Earth was dying, environmental collapse. They sent out hundreds of these ships, maybe thousands, each one a self-contained civilization. Fleeing where? It doesn't say, just away, into the darkness to sleep until. Nell's voice trailed off. Until what? The database file ended abruptly, corrupted by time. But Nell found a ship's log entry dated Earth year 2024, human calendar. She read it aloud, her translator rendering the words in her own language. We chose sleep instead of conquest. We could have taken worlds by force. Our weapons could crack planets, but we refused to become what destroyed us. We'll wait, however long it takes. We'll wait for the galaxy to grow beyond violence. When civilization is ready, we'll wake. Until then, we guard the dream. Silence filled the chamber. Every scientist stared at the sleeping humans with new understanding. These weren't refugees. They were volunteers. They'd put themselves to sleep deliberately, trusting that someday the galaxy would deserve the knowledge they carried. There are 50 ships in this sector alone, Rish said quietly. If each carries 20,000 people. 1 million humans here, Nell calculated, and we detected thousands more ships across the Uit cloud. 50 million, Dr. Porath breathed, maybe more. Nell touched the glass of the nearest pod. Inside, a young human woman slept peacefully, unaware that 500,000 years had passed. That Earth was now a silent garden world where nature had reclaimed everything humanity built. That every person this sleeper had ever known was dust scattered across an empty planet. We need to contact the Confederation Council, Nell said. This changes everything. She turned to leave the chamber and her suit's sensor array brushed against a control panel. A light flickered, then another. Throughout the ship, systems began waking from their long slumber, not active yet, just stirring like a giant opening one eye. Nell's communicator crackled with Rish's panicked voice from the ship's bridge. Chief, we've got a problem. That panel you touched activated something. The entire fleet is powering up, all of them, thousands of ships, and there's a countdown. Countdown to what? I don't know, but we've got 72 hours before whatever happens, happens. Nell looked back at the sleeping humans. 50 million people about to wake into a galaxy they wouldn't recognize, with weapons that could sterilize worlds, and nobody knew if they'd wake up angry. The Confederation Council was about to face its greatest challenge in history. The Confederation emergency session began badly and got worse. Representatives from 47 species crowded into the virtual assembly, each voice talking over the others. Fear filled every word. Unknown weapons platforms. Admiral Parth's compound eyes gleamed with suspicion. The Kilresh military commander had fought in 3 wars during his lifetime. He trusted his instincts. We should destroy them before they wake. Destroy 50 million sleeping people. Nell couldn't believe what she heard. She stood in the archaeological section of the assembly, her blue scales flushed dark with anger. They've done nothing wrong. They've been asleep for 500,000 years. Exactly my point, Parth clicked his mandibles. We don't know why they slept. What if they were criminals, exiles? What if their own kind sent them away because they were dangerous? The log said they chose to wait, Nell argued. They wanted the galaxy to evolve past violence. Or they wanted us to grow soft, Parth countered. Perfect targets. The council president, a wispy Voreth energy being named Shimmer, tried to restore order. Her light pulsed in calming patterns. Please, we have 70 hours before the awakening completes. Let's use that time wisely. Nell, your team has been inside the ships. What else did you find? Nell pulled up the data they'd collected. The vessel we explored, Promise Keeper, contains detailed archives. We've barely scratched the surface, but what we've translated is remarkable. These humans possess technology far beyond ours, weapons that could tear apart moons, shields that could withstand direct stellar radiation. Yet every weapon system we found was locked behind multiple security protocols. "See," said Drew, a young Shallan pilot sitting in the military section, his green scales still bright with youth. "They're armed to the teeth. That's not peaceful." "Let me finish," Nell said firmly. "The weapons are locked behind something called Guardian Protocol, according to the ship's computer. Weapons only activate if specific threat conditions are detected. And even then, the protocol requires unanimous crew vote before engaging." "Unanimous?" Parth sounded skeptical. 20,000 people must agree before they can fire. That's absurd." "That's restraint," Nell shot back. "They built in safeguards, multiple levels of them. Does that sound like a species planning conquest?" Shimmer's light pulsed thoughtfully. "What happened to their home world? Why did they leave?" Nell displayed images from Promise Keeper's database. Earth as it was 500,000 years ago. Oceans rising, forests burning, cities flooding. Billions of humans trying desperately to save their world and failing. "Environmental collapse," Nell explained. "They destroyed their own planet through carelessness, but instead of taking other worlds by force, they chose to sleep. They wanted to give other civilizations time to develop, to grow, to maybe learn from humanity's mistakes." "Noble sentiment," Parth admitted grudgingly. "But that was 500,000 years ago. Who knows what they're thinking now?" "Only one way to find out," said Dr. Poreth from his station aboard Peaceful Dawn. "One of the humans is already waking. Emergency revival triggered by a damaged stasis pod. The process can't be stopped. Someone will be conscious within the hour." The assembly erupted again. Some species wanted military ships standing by. Others demanded the Confederation greet the human peacefully. Drew called for confining the waking human immediately. Nell fought to protect the human's rights as a sentient being. "Enough!" Shimmer's light flared bright enough to silence everyone. "Nell, your team will be present when the human wakes. You will attempt communication. Admiral Parth, you may position defensive ships at a safe distance, but no aggressive actions unless I give direct orders. Understood?" Neither Nell nor Parth looked happy, but both agreed. Nell rushed back to Peaceful Dawn. Rish had prepared the medical bay for their visitor. They'd moved the human's pod from Promise Keeper carefully, monitoring life signs constantly. The occupant was female according to the pod's readout. Name, Amy Okonkwo. Rank, Lieutenant Commander. Role, Fleet Medical Officer. "Life signs strengthening," Rish reported. "Neural activity increasing. She's dreaming." "About what?" Nell wondered aloud. "Something pleasant, I hope," said Rish. "She's about to wake up to a nightmare." The pod hissed as pressure seals released. Fluid drained away, revealing the human's face clearly for the first time. Young features, dark skin, hair in small tight coils. Her eyes moved rapidly beneath closed lids, then opened. Amy Okonkwo stared at the ceiling, blinked, frowned, tried to sit up, but the pod's safety restraints held her down. She turned her head and saw Nell standing beside the pod. Amy screamed. Nell had expected that. "Please don't be frightened. We mean you no harm." Amy screamed again, struggling against the restraints. Her eyes were wild with panic. She shouted something in ancient human language that the translator couldn't process fast enough. "Calm yourself," Nell tried, using her most soothing voice. "We rescued you. Your pod was damaged. You're safe now." "Safe?" Amy's translator software kicked in suddenly. She understood Nell's words and Nell could understand hers. "What are you? Where am I? Where's my crew?" "Still sleeping," Nell said gently. "You're aboard a Shallan research vessel. My name is Nell. I'm an archaeologist. We found your fleet in deep space." "Fleet?" Amy's breathing slowed slightly. "Promise Keeper, the others. They're okay." "All intact, all systems functioning. Your people are fine." "How long?" Amy asked, the question Nell dreaded. "How long were we asleep?" Nell's scales shifted to a sympathetic pale blue. A very long time. The year by your calendar is approximately 502,024. You've been in stasis for 500,000 years. Amy laughed, then stopped, looked at Nell's serious expression, laughed again, but this time it sounded broken. That's not possible. The mission profile was 10,000 years maximum. We were supposed to wake near a habitable system. This is wrong. Something went wrong. Nothing went wrong, Nell said softly. Your ship worked perfectly. You slept as long as you needed to. But 500,000 years, Amy's voice cracked. Everyone I knew, everyone on Earth, all dead, gone, dust. Yes, Nell couldn't lie. Earth is empty now. Nature reclaimed it. No humans remain there. Amy's face crumpled. She turned away from Nell, pressing her face against the pod's interior. Her shoulders shook with silent sobs. Nell gave her time. What else could she do? This human woman had just lost everything. Everyone. Her entire world erased by time. Finally, Amy spoke again. Why wake me? Why not let me keep sleeping? Your pod malfunctioned, but also, Nell hesitated. We need help. There's a threat coming, something ancient and terrible. We found records of it in your databases, something called harvesters. Amy went rigid, slowly turned to look at Nell. Harvesters, they're here, in this galaxy. You know what they are. They killed us, Amy whispered. Not the environmental collapse, them. They came to Earth system 500,000 years ago, destroyed Mars colony, Venus stations. We barely escaped. That's why we ran, why we hid. They were everywhere. They're coming back, Nell said quietly, and we're not ready to face them. Amy sat in the observation lounge staring at Earth. The planet hung in the darkness like a blue and green jewel. Beautiful, perfect, dead. Nell sat beside her quietly. They'd been there for 2 hours. Amy hadn't spoken since the medical bay, just stared at her lost home with empty eyes. I was born in Lagos, Amy finally said, her voice hollow. It flooded when I was 12. We moved inland. Then inland flooded too. We kept running. My whole childhood was running from water. I'm sorry. We knew Earth was dying. Everyone knew, but we couldn't stop. Couldn't change fast enough. Too many people wanting too many things. Amy's hands clenched. So we built the ships, emergency evacuation. One last desperate gamble. The ships worked, Nell offered gently. You survived. For what? Amy gestured at the view screen. Look at it. Earth healed itself. Didn't need us at all. Maybe it's better this way. Your log said you chose to sleep, to wait for the galaxy to mature. Fleet Admiral Stone's idea, Amy laughed bitterly. She said we were too dangerous, too desperate. If we woke up near inhabited worlds, we'd take what we needed, become conquerors. Better to sleep until civilization evolved enough to accept us as partners. That was wise. Or cowardly, hard to tell the difference sometimes. Nell's communicator chimed. We have company. Admiral Parth wants to speak with Amy. Amy turned from the view screen, her eyes red but dry. The military commander, the one who wants to blow up my fleet. He's cautious. Can you blame him? From his perspective, 50 million armed humans just appeared in Confederation space. Fair point, Amy stood up. Let's get this over with. The holographic conference filled the center of the lounge. Admiral Parth materialized first, his insectoid form imposing even as a projection. Other Confederation leaders appeared around him, Shimmer's glowing presence, council members from a dozen species Amy couldn't name. Lieutenant Commander Okonkwo, Parth's translator, made his voice sound like grinding metal. Thank you for speaking with us. Call me Amy. We're past formalities, I think. Indeed. I'll be direct. Your fleet possesses weapons that could threaten every world in the Confederation. Why shouldn't we disable those weapons before you wake your crew? Amy met his compound eyes without flinching. Because you'd trigger the Guardian Protocol doing it. The ships would interpret your attack as hostile action. They'd wake the entire fleet automatically. and they'd come up shooting. Silence. So we're hostages, Parth's mandibles clicked angrily. Cooperate or face annihilation. No, Amy said firmly. I'm explaining reality. Those ships have been waiting 500,000 years. Their AI systems are sophisticated, paranoid, designed to protect sleeping humans from any threat. If you attack, they'll defend. Simple as that. Then what do you propose? Partnership, Amy said. You said something's coming, these harvesters. I need to know what you've seen. Shimmer pulsed forward, her light gentle. 3 months ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected unusual readings from the galactic core, energy signatures moving outward, fast. We sent scout ships to investigate. And none returned, but before they died, they transmitted images. Shimmer displayed the data. Amy's face went pale. She knew those shapes. Geometric constructs the size of moons, living metal that reshaped itself constantly, millions of smaller units swarming like locusts around the larger forms. Harvesters, she breathed. Same configuration as the ones that hit Earth system. How many? We don't know, thousands certainly. Maybe millions. They're consuming everything in their path. Entire star systems stripped of resources. No survivors. How long until they reach Confederation space? 2 weeks, maybe less. Amy closed her eyes, thought hard. When she opened them again, she looked different, focused, professional, the grief pushed aside for later. Our fleet was designed specifically to fight harvesters, she said. That's why we have the weapons we do, why the Guardian Protocol exists. We knew they'd keep coming, keep spreading. We planned to sleep until the galaxy had civilizations worth protecting, then wake up and fight. You intended to protect us, Parth sounded skeptical. Why? Because it's right, Amy said simply. Because we failed to save Earth, but maybe we could save other worlds. Because having power means nothing if you don't use it to help people. Drew spoke for the first time. The young Shallan pilot looked confused. But you could just leave, wake your fleet, run away. Why risk yourselves for species you don't even know? Because that's not who we are, Amy said. We learned that lesson on Earth. Running away doesn't solve problems, it just makes new ones. Besides, harvesters don't stop. If we run now, they'll catch us eventually. Better to fight here, together. Together, Parth leaned forward. You're offering alliance. On equal terms, you provide local knowledge, system layouts, resource locations. We provide military expertise and weapons. We plan together, fight together, win together. And if we refuse? Shimmer asked quietly. Amy's expression hardened. Then 50 million humans will wake up to a galaxy being destroyed. We'll fight anyway, alone if necessary, but I'd rather fight beside you. The conference room fell silent. Council members conferred privately. Amy waited patiently. Nell touched her arm supportively. Finally, Shimmer spoke. The council votes yes. We accept your alliance. But understand, if you betray us, every species in the Confederation will hunt you across the galaxy. Fair enough, Amy nodded. If we betray you, we'll deserve it. Then let's begin, Parth said, his tone still wary but less hostile. How do we wake your fleet safely? Carefully, Amy smiled for the first time since waking. Very carefully. But first I need to speak with Fleet Admiral Stone. She needs to hear this directly. Wake your admiral then, Shimmer agreed. We have much to plan and little time. Amy turned to Nell. Thank you for treating me with kindness, for trusting me. I won't forget that. You're welcome, Nell said warmly. Now let's wake your people. We have a galaxy to save. Amy laughed. A real laugh this time. 500,000 years asleep and first thing we do is jump into a war. Stone is going to be so annoyed. Will she help us? Drew asked nervously. Oh, definitely, Amy grinned. Rebecca Stone didn't build this fleet to sit idle. She's been waiting 500,000 years for a fight worth having. Trust me, she's going to love this. Fleet Admiral Rebecca Stone opened her eyes. and immediately started giving orders. Status report, ship integrity, crew condition, enemy position, talk to me people. Then she noticed the Shallan medical technicians surrounding her pod, noticed the unfamiliar ship architecture, noticed Amy standing in the corner grinning like an idiot. "What happened?" Stone demanded. "Where's Promise Keeper?" "Still out there, Admiral, still safe. Everyone's safe." Amy stepped forward. "But we've got a situation." Stone climbed out of the stasis pod. Her legs wobbled slightly, but she stayed upright through sheer stubbornness. 60 years old when she went asleep. Still 60 years old now. Still refused to show weakness. Define situation. "We slept longer than planned. A lot longer. About 500,000 years longer." Stone processed this, nodded once. "Earth." "Gone, well, not gone, empty. Nature took it back. Humans are extinct everywhere except our fleet." "Understood, and our hosts?" "Confederation of 47 species. Peaceful, cooperative, exactly what we hoped would evolve, but they've got a problem." "Let me guess, harvesters." "How did you know?" "Because nothing else would make you wake the fleet early." Stone looked around the medical bay. "Where's the nearest conference room? I need briefing, full briefing, now." 20 minutes later, Stone sat across from Amy, Nell, Admiral Parth, and Shimmer. A holographic display showed the Harvester fleet's projected path. Stone studied it silently, her face unreadable. "Numbers?" she asked. "Estimated 12,000 capital class constructs," Parth reported. "Millions of smaller autonomous units. Standard Harvester swarm tactics. Defenses. We have 300 warships, good crews, modern weapons, but we've analyzed the combat footage from scout ships. Our weapons barely scratched them. They adapt too quickly." "They would," Stone said. "Harvesters are semi-organic machines. They learn, evolve. Every battle makes them stronger. Traditional warfare doesn't work." "Can you stop them?" Shimmer's light pulsed with barely controlled fear. "Maybe, probably, if we wake the fleet properly and have time to coordinate, but I need information first." Stone turned to Nell. "You're the archaeologist, the one who found us. Tell me about these 47 species. Not military strength, culture, values. Why should we fight for them?" Nell looked surprised. "I thought you'd already agreed to help." Amy agreed. "I need to hear it myself. Convince me." Nell took a breath. "The Confederation formed 3,000 years ago after devastating wars nearly destroyed multiple civilizations. Species that had been enemies for centuries chose peace instead. They built something new, a society where different beings work together, share resources, protect each other. It's not perfect, but it tries. They have conflicts. Of course, different biology, different needs, but they resolve disputes through negotiation, not war. No species dominates others. Everyone has voice. Everyone matters." "Sounds naive." "Maybe," Nell admitted. "But it works. 3,000 years of general peace. Compare that to humanity's history." Stone smiled grimly. "Fair point. We never managed more than a few decades before someone started shooting." She turned to Drew, who'd been sitting quietly. "You're military." Pilot Drew said, "Fighter class." "You afraid of humans?" "Yes," Drew answered honestly. "Good, you should be. But are you willing to fight beside us anyway?" "If it means stopping the harvesters, yes. They don't negotiate, don't show mercy. They just consume everything. My people had a colony world in their path. 30 million Shallans, gone in 48 hours, not killed, processed, turned into raw materials." Stone's expression softened slightly. "I'm sorry for your loss. We'll make them pay for it." "Can you really stop them?" "Kid, we've been planning to fight harvesters for 500,000 years. We designed everything around it. Our weapons, tactics, ship configurations. The Guardian Protocol exists specifically because we knew this fight was coming. Yeah, we can stop them." "How?" Parth asked. His mandibles clicked skeptically. Their numbers alone will overwhelm any defense. That's where you're wrong, Stone said. Numbers don't matter if you strike the right targets. Harvesters operate on hive network principles. Quantum entanglement coordinates all units. Disrupt that network and the swarm becomes uncoordinated. Easy pickings. We know about the hive network, Parth said, but it's inside their capital constructs, protected by adaptive shielding. Nothing we can penetrate it. We can, Stone said confidently. Our quantum disruptors were built specifically for that purpose. Get close enough and we can fry their network nodes. Without coordination, harvesters are just dumb machines. Getting close enough is the problem, Shimmer pointed out. Their defenses are formidable. That's where the Confederation fleet comes in. You run interference. Keep the smaller units busy. We punch through to the capitals and deploy disruptors. You make it sound simple, Drew said. It's not. People will die. Ships will be lost, but it's our best chance. Only chance, really. The room fell silent. Stone looked at each face around the table. Different species, different backgrounds, united by necessity against common threat. I need to know right now if you're committed, Stone said. Once we wake the fleet, there's no turning back. 50 million humans will be ready to fight. But they need to know you're with them. All of you. Because if we're doing this, we're doing it together or not at all. Shimmer's light pulsed brightly. The Confederation stands with humanity. We accept your help, your sacrifice, and we'll honor it. Admiral Parth. The Kilresh commander clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. I still don't fully trust you, but I trust that we're all dead if harvesters aren't stopped. My fleet is yours. Drew. The young pilot straightened. I'll fly beside anyone willing to fight for my people, even humans. Especially humans, Stone corrected with a slight smile. We're quite good at fighting. She stood up. Nell, you're with me. You're going to help me explain to 50 million confused humans why we're not home anymore. The rest of you start coordinating your forces. We wake the fleet in 6 hours. In 12 hours, we fight. Amy walked alongside Stone as they left the conference room. You really think we can win? We'd better, Stone said, because if we lose, there's nothing left. We're the last humans. The Confederation is counting on us. No pressure. No pressure at all, Amy laughed nervously. Stone stopped walking, looked at Amy seriously. You did good, kid, making first contact, negotiating alliance. Your parents would be proud. Amy's eyes watered. They're dust, Admiral. Everyone we knew is dust. Then we honor them by protecting what they couldn't, by being better than we were, by finally becoming the species we always claimed to be. Guardians. Exactly. Now let's wake up our people and show these harvesters why you don't mess with humanity. The first wave of harvesters emerged from quantum space like nightmare-made metal. 12,000 massive constructs materialized simultaneously, each one larger than any Confederation ship. Behind them came millions of smaller units, geometric shapes that twisted reality just by existing. Drew gripped his fighter's controls and tried not to panic. All Confederation wings, this is Admiral Parth. Maintain formation. Do not engage until human fleet arrives. Repeat, hold position. Easy for him to say, Drew thought. He wasn't staring at an enemy that had killed 30 million of his people. The harvesters advanced slowly, methodically scanning the Confederation defense line, calculating, learning, preparing to consume. Contact, a sensor operator called out. Multiple quantum signatures, something's coming through. Space tore open, not the smooth entry of normal faster than light travel. This was violent, deliberate. 50 human warships dropped out of quantum space between the Confederation fleet and the approaching harvesters. Promise Keeper led the formation. Her hull painted not in military gray but in brilliant colors, patterns that looked almost ceremonial. Every human ship bore similar markings, like they were heading to celebration instead of war. Confederation fleet, this is Admiral Stone. Thanks for waiting. We'll take it from here. The Promise Keeper's weapons systems came alive. Energy cascaded across her hull in waves of light. Similar displays rippled through the entire human formation, 50 ships becoming 50 miniature stars. "What are they doing?" Drew asked over the open channel. "Introducing themselves," Amy's voice responded. She was aboard Promise Keeper's bridge with Stone. "Harvesters are machines, but they're smart. They remember threats. We're making sure they remember us." The Harvesters responded. Their formations shifted. Weapons ports opened across every construct. Millions of smaller units began accelerating toward the human fleet. "All ships," Stone's voice stayed calm. "Execute pattern Shepherd, protect the flock." Human vessels surged forward. Not a charge, a dance, each ship moving in perfect coordination with the others. They wove between harvester fire, shields flaring but holding. Return fire lanced out, not the scattered shots of Confederation weapons. Precise, calculated, every shot hitting critical systems. Harvester units exploded. Dozens, hundreds, but thousands more kept coming. "Confederation wings, you're up," Parth ordered. "Support pattern Delta. Keep the small units off the human ships." Drew punched his engines. Finally, action instead of watching. His fighter squadron dove into the swarm. Confederation weapons might not hurt the big constructs, but the smaller units were vulnerable. Drew's plasma cannons tore through 3 units before they could adjust. Beside him, pilots from a dozen different species flew in tight formation. Shallan reflexes, Kilresh tactical thinking, Voreth energy manipulation, everyone working together like they'd trained for this their whole lives. A human voice crackled over Drew's comm. "Nice flying, green scales, watch your 6." Drew rolled left instinctively. A harvester unit that had locked onto him exploded under fire from a human fighter. The pilot waved through the viewscreen. Drew waved back. "Focus, people," Parth's voice cut through the chatter. "Don't get comfortable, they're learning." He was right. The harvesters began adapting. Their shields modulated to better resist human weapons. Their tactics shifted from frontal assault to flanking maneuvers. The battle that started with humanity dominating suddenly became far more even. "Stone to all ships. They're catching up faster than expected. Accelerate the plan. Promise Keeper will make the run now." "Now," Amy's voice held doubt. "We haven't cleared a path yet." "We're out of time. The longer we wait, the stronger they get. Promise Keeper will punch through. Everyone else keeps the swarm busy. Guardian Protocol is active. Let's show them what we can do." Promise Keeper broke formation. Her engines flared bright enough to leave afterimages. She accelerated toward the center of the harvester formation, where the largest constructs clustered, the ones coordinating everything through their quantum network. Every harvester unit in range immediately retargeted her. Weapons fire converged from every angle. Promise Keeper's shields lit up like a small sun. "Hull integrity at 60%, someone reported. "Keep going," Stone ordered. 40%. "Keep going." Confederation and human ships threw themselves in front of Promise Keeper, taking hits meant for her. Drew watched a Shallan cruiser take a direct strike to protect the human flagship. The cruiser broke apart, spilling atmosphere and escape pods. 20% hull integrity. Almost there. Promise Keeper crashed through the harvester defensive sphere, point-blank range to the central constructs. Their adaptive shields could stop weapons fire, but they couldn't stop a ship. "Deploy quantum disruptors, all of them now." Metallic spheres ejected from Promise Keeper's hull, dozens of them. They attached to the nearest constructs like parasites, then activated. Reality bent, space-time twisted. The quantum entanglement network holding the harvester swarmed together, shredded like paper in a storm. Across the entire battlefield, millions of harvester units stopped, just stopped. No coordination, no shared intelligence, individual machines with no idea what to do. All ships, Stone's voice filled with fierce satisfaction. Kill them all. What followed wasn't a battle, it was extermination. Human and Confederation forces tore through the disabled harvesters systematically. No mercy, no hesitation. These machines had destroyed entire civilizations, consumed countless worlds. They deserved nothing but annihilation. Drew's fighter wings turned through the debris field. His weapons found targets easily. Harvester units trying to flee, trying to run, too late now. "This is for my people," Drew whispered, firing again and again. It took 2 hours to eliminate the swarm completely. 2 hours of constant fighting. When it finally ended, space around them was filled with shattered metal and dissipating energy fields. Promise Keeper hung in the void, her hull battered and broken in a dozen places. Emergency force fields covered breaches. Fires burned in exposed sections, but she stayed intact, functional, alive. "Casualty report," Stone demanded. Promise Keeper lost 400 crew, 8 other human ships destroyed. Confederation casualties, Amy's voice broke. 17 ships lost, estimated 30,000 dead. Silence filled the communications network. 30,000 beings who'd never go home, who'd given their lives defending others against monsters. "They were brave," Stone said quietly. "All of them, we'll honor them. But first we need to help survivors, medical teams to all damaged vessels, search and rescue operations, move people." "Admiral," Nell's voice came through. She was aboard a Shallan rescue ship. "There are Confederation pilots requesting transfer to human vessels. They want to join your fleet, learn from you, fight beside you permanently." Stone looked at Amy. Amy looked at Stone. Both smiled. "Tell them they're welcome," Stone said. "Tell them humanity would be honored to have them. We're stronger together." Drew's fighter docked with Promise Keeper an hour later. He climbed out to find Amy waiting for him in the hangar bay. "Heard you saved a human pilot's life," Amy said. "He saved mine first." "That's how it works, partners." "Partners," Drew agreed. "So what now? The harvesters are gone." Amy gestured at the damaged ships around them. Human and alien crews working side by side, repairing damage, sharing supplies, teaching each other, learning together. "Now we build something better." The memorial service took place in open space. No station, no planet, just the vast darkness between stars where the battle had happened. 50,000 beings gathered in ships surrounding a monument constructed from recovered harvester metal. Confederation engineers and human technicians built it together, a spiral reaching outward, names carved into every surface. 30,000 Confederation dead, 400 humans who'd slept 500,000 years only to die protecting strangers. Admiral Stone floated in a clear observation bubble attached to Promise Keeper's hull. No pressure suit, just a transparent sphere allowing her to see everything. Beside her, Nell and Amy kept her company. "I should have done better," Stone said quietly. 30,000 is too many." "You saved billions," Nell reminded her gently. "The harvesters would have consumed everything, every world, every species. You stopped that." "Still too many dead." "Yes," Amy agreed. "It is, but they chose to fight, same as we did. They knew the risk. They did it anyway because it mattered." Below them, representatives from every Confederation species took turns speaking, honoring the fallen. Drew spoke for the Shallan casualties, his voice steady despite the pain. He talked about courage, about sacrifice, about species that barely knew each other choosing to stand together anyway. When Drew finished, Stone activated her own communication channel. Her voice transmitted to every ship. 500,000 years ago, humanity faced a choice: run and survive or stay and die fighting. We chose a third option. We chose to wait, to sleep until the galaxy was ready for us, until civilization evolved past the violence that defined our era. She paused, looking at the memorial. Today I understand we made the right choice. Not because we're heroes, not because we're special, but because waiting allowed us to meet you, all of you. 47 species that achieved what humanity never could. You built peace, cooperation, something worth protecting. Stone's voice grew stronger. The humans who died today didn't die defending their own people. They died defending yours. They died proving that power without purpose is meaningless. That strength exists to protect the weak. That having weapons means nothing if you're not willing to stand between monsters and the innocent. That's what it means to be human. That's what it means to be Confederation. That's what it means to be Guardians. She gestured to the fleet around her. Human ships and Confederation vessels mixed together, no longer separate forces but one unified defense. Today we're not 47 species plus humanity. We're 48 species standing together, and we'll never stand alone again. The communications network erupted with voices, cheering, crying, species expressing emotion in ways Stone couldn't understand but felt in her chest anyway. Connection, unity, hope. The ceremony continued for hours, stories about the dead, songs in languages Stone didn't speak but appreciated anyway. Nell taught her some Shaolin mourning rituals. Amy shared human traditions. Everything blended together into something new, something neither human nor alien but both. When it finally ended, Stone met with the Confederation Council in formal session, not as supplicant seeking permission, as equal requesting partnership. The human fleet requests official integration into Confederation defensive forces, Stone stated. We offer our ships, our knowledge, our protection. In exchange, we ask for home, not territory, not resources, just belonging. Shimmer's light pulsed warmly. The Council debates this request for approximately 3 seconds. The answer is yes, unanimously. Welcome home, Admiral Stone. Welcome home, humanity. Thank you, Stone said simply. Too many emotions to express properly. We'll try to earn that trust every day. You already have, Parth said. His mandibles clicked in what humans had learned was approval. My species has 40,000 years of military history. Never in that time did we encounter warriors who fought so fiercely yet showed such restraint. Your Guardian protocol proves wisdom matters more than weapons. We learned that lesson the hard way, Stone admitted. Hopefully you won't have to. Hopefully, Shimmer agreed. But if threats arise, we know who to call. Speaking of which, Stone pulled up data files. We need to discuss defense networks. Our ships revealed weaknesses in Confederation coverage. Northern Spiral Arm is particularly vulnerable. We should establish monitoring stations, train response teams, integrate our technology with yours. You want to share everything? A council member asked, surprised. No restrictions, no trade requirements. We slept 500,000 years waiting to meet species worthy of our trust. You proved yourselves worthy. We share freely because that's what partners do. The council session continued deep into ship night. Plans formed, defensive networks, training programs, technology exchange, cultural ambassadors, everything needed to truly integrate two wildly different civilizations. Drew found Amy in Promise Keeper's observation deck hours later. She was staring at Earth again. The blue planet that once held billions now hosted only wind and rain and growing things. You okay? Drew asked. Getting there. Stone offered me a choice. Stay with the fleet or join Nell's archaeological team. Help preserve human history so it's not forgotten. What did you choose? Both. I'll split time. Medical officer when fleet needs me. Historian when they don't. Feels right somehow. Honoring past while building future. Makes sense. Drew sat beside her. Stone offered me something too. Permanent assignment with human forces. Learn your tactics, your philosophy. Take it back to train other Confederation pilots. You going to accept? Already did. Figure if I'm going to fly beside humans, might as well learn from them properly. They sat in comfortable silence watching Earth rotate slowly below. Think we'll ever resettle it? Drew asked. Maybe not soon. It needs time to just be wild, but someday humans might walk there again. Build cities, fill oceans with ships. Who knows? Sounds nice. It does, Amy smiled. But honestly, I'm not in a hurry. We spent 500,000 years running from our past, trying to escape what we'd done. Maybe it's time to stop running, focus on future instead of past. Building instead of mourning. Exactly. Promise Keeper's engines hummed to life. The fleet was moving, not toward Earth, toward Confederation space, toward populated systems that needed protecting, toward new missions, new challenges, new purpose. Nell joined them in the observation deck carrying 3 containers of hot liquid. Brought refreshments, Shallan tea, human coffee, figured we could toast properly. Toast to what? Amy asked. To endings and beginnings, Nell said. To species that waited and species that welcomed. To guardians who protect and friends who stand beside them. To 500,000 years of patience finally rewarded. They raised their containers. To partnership, Amy said. To courage, Drew added. To hope, Nell finished. 3 species, 3 perspectives, 1 future. Behind them, Earth continued spinning peacefully, healing, waiting, knowing that someday its children might return. But for now, those children had more important work. They had a galaxy to protect, species to defend, a promise to keep. The Promise Keeper and her fleet disappeared into quantum space, not fleeing, not hiding, going exactly where they were needed most. Guardians finally awake, finally home, finally where they belonged.